Hello people of the internet, my name is Sketchbook Sarah. I'm currently a senior at Rhode Island School of Design and I'm an illustration major. However, this summer I decided to expand my horizons and I took a ceramics class. Now, I don't really have much of a background in ceramics. I grew up in kind of a standard art education elementary school system, and we would do a ceramics project maybe once a year in elementary school or once every couple of years. And I was never all that good at it. I remember being kind of frustrated and I just didn't feel this natural easiness to it like I found that drawing did, and that honestly is what kept me drawing, is the kind of easy thing that it came to me. And when I tried ceramics, it didn't come to me very naturally, so I didn't pursue it very much, and I did a tiny bit of sculpting in high school. It didn't really make anything I'm super proud of, and I had to take an out of major credit this coming semester, and I needed to take summer school. And I decided to take a ceramics class because I wanted to try out and see if I could build something that I was actually proud of, and I wanted to explore myself through a different medium. So I started the wheel building class at CU Boulder, which is where I'm from. I'm from Colorado, so I just took it at CU Boulder. And this class ended up being really fun, and I made a lot of friends in it, and I just had a wonderful time from the month of June throwing all of my pots. But it was a rough start. I definitely was not naturally good at ceramics. That's why I wanted to take wheel throwing, because I assumed that wheel throwing would be pretty easy, considering when I've built pots, I've had to coil build, and all of my coil build pots turn out lumpy and lopsided, and I'm like, surely with a wheel you just stick your fingers in and pull up and boom, you have a perfect pot, easy peasy. That's not the case. So this was my first week of my ceramics class, and I had been growing up doing ceramics class sort of on and off. I think the last ceramic project I did was in high school, but I had never been very good at it. I feel like everyone else was just naturally better at it than me, whereas I was really strong in drawing, but sculpting was never my strong suit, and I just never did it much for practice. But anyway, I have always been really interested in it, and I wanted to give it a really good shot, and I wanted to really put my all into making a body of work that was 3D that I could be proud of. So that was my aim for the ceramics class, and I have to take this for summer school anyway for credits, and I figured I might as well use it as a fun challenge to make some work and challenge myself and learn how to wheel throw, which was something I've always been really interested in. I have so many interests that I want to explore. I literally spent money on a stained glass cake that I need to work on. That's going to be my July project, is I'm going to be making a stained glass window in July. But for now, I am throwing pots, and at the beginning it was very frustrating. So this is me on day one, and I'm first learning how to throw, and I'm definitely frustrated by things. I keep tearing, I keep screwing things up, but eventually I get the hang of it, and I make some cute pieces that you will see in just a minute. I've torn mine 5 times. I've torn mine 5 times just because I'm not patient enough, I think. Right now I'm trying to center the bowl, which is basically where you put it in a cone and up and down a lot. Ugh, this is harder than it looks. I have made probably 6 pots and destroyed all of them so far, so I just want to make one good pot and then I can leave. Okay. It's hard to control your hands and the foot wheel. It's kind of at the same time when you're driving it. That's usually my problem, is I end up going too fast and I just want things to happen and then they break, because clay's not like paint. You can't just throw it around and hope for things to happen. You have to be a lot more methodical with it, I think. So a basic overview of how to throw a pot is, first you gotta get your clay, you gotta pound the crap out of it, you gotta knead it into this a cone shape or a ram's head spiral, then you gotta throw it down, and then you have to cone it like I mentioned, which is a process of squeezing it up and down until it's perfectly centered, so that way when you throw a pot it's as even as possible, since the wheel is constantly spinning. So in order to do this, you have to shove your whole body into the clay and try to get it to wobble as little as possible. Once you have that, you plunge your thumbs as deep into the crevice of your pot as possible while trying not to think of sexual images, as well as the scene in Ghost. It's a weird thing. You're poking holes, and it's a lot of slippery, and it's very wet and messy. It's kind of gross, and it activates my dirty mind sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But that's besides the point. We're clean around here. Sketchbook Sarah is a family friendly channel. Anyway, so after you do that, you want to get it into like a boob shape. That's probably the best shape in order for you to make a successful pot. And then you're gonna have to try your best to keep it slippery enough with enough water and keep your hands and your even pressure steady enough as to not screw it up. And then you're probably gonna screw it up, but that's okay. And then you have to remove it. And then once you remove it, you're going to have to wait like a day or so. And then you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to trim it. And then pray you don't ruin it when you trim it. And then after you trim it, you're going to pray you don't ruin it when you put a handle on it. Like I am in this case, because I'm going to be making a series of mugs. That was our first assignment, was to make a self-portrait mug, which is about your like personality. I decided to go with just making a lot of mugs themed around sort of the same stuff I paint about. So like cowgirls and columbines and pink and flowers and kind of a bunch of stuff. And I made a really cute little rainbow trout mug that I'm really happy with, but the fucking tail broke off. I'm so sad, but it's okay. It's in the kiln right now as I'm recording this, so by the end of this video we will see how I fixed it, because I will be fixing it because I love this piece. Oh, it's got a snare. Let's get rid of it. I can feel it. This time is gonna be good, and I'm really excited because I got free reign, free territory over the ceramics studio, so I will probably be in here all day every day because I just want work, and I can make my outside projects, which is what I want. Holy shit, I did it! Yeah! Oh my gosh! I made definitely too small for a mug like I was aiming for, but it is a cutesy little bowl. Oh my god, now how the fuck do I get this off? After attempt number 6, I threw an okay bowl. Woohoo! So it's kind of too small to be practical, but this is the best thing I've thrown so far, so I'm too scared to mess it up by trying to make it bigger. So I'm just gonna make another bowl. Ellen and I got lunch at Mod Market, and now we're gonna hang out and go on a hike, but I'm absolutely fucking covered in clay stuff, so that's nice. I definitely need to wear a smock next time, but we're gonna go on a pretty hike, and I'm gonna take pictures for my paintings. We are going to start here, and then take a loop, and then come back. It's been raining a ton here, so look at how beautiful and lush Colorado is. Okay, I'm getting like slowly better. I made these two. This one's pretty good. The wall in the bottom there is way too thick, but it's much better than my other attempts. So let's try and throw another one. Every time I throw something, it's like not a cup. So I'm like, I don't have enough cups. I have plenty of bowls, but I don't have cups. Me too. I'm so excited to see what other people make.
Down on the West Coast, they got a saying, if you're not drinking, then you're not playing. But you got the music, you've got the music in you. Down on the West Coast, I get this feeling like it all could happen. That's why I'm leaving you for the moment, you for the moment, boy blue. Yeah, you're falling hard, I push away. I'm feeling hot to the touch. You say you miss me, and I wanna say I miss you so much, but something keeps me really quiet. I'm alive, I'm a rush. Your love, your love, your love. I can see my baby swinging. His parliament's on fire and his hands are out on the balcony, and I'm singing. Ooh, baby,
This is so scary.
baby, I'm in love.
One of the projects that we had for this class was we were making different glazes from scratch, and I had never done this before, and I am terrible at chemistry, so mine did not turn out how I wanted them to, but that's okay. I ended up using like the studio glazes, and glazing was really like the most fickle, prone to disaster part of this process in my opinion, because like sculpting, the risk you just had were like things breaking. With like glazing things, all manner of varieties of screw ups can happen with a glaze, from it completely melting off to it exploding to it running off to it changing color to it like bubbling up to it cracking to like it's just everything and anything can happen during glazing that can just ruin a piece. And I ended up not using any of my glazes because I low-key like didn't think they turned out that good, because I think I just did not do them correctly. I was just using substitutes because I couldn't find all the ingredients, and I was just like, I was like, yeah, I just kind of want to see what will happen, and they were fine. They kind of looked like purple and moldy, and I didn't really have anything that really suited them, but that's okay. It was just part of the exercise, so at least I know how to do it now. By this point, I had gotten slightly more comfortable throwing on the wheel, and I felt more comfortable trying to throw bigger pieces, more ambitious pieces. I was still screwing things up pretty much all the time, but by this point I was definitely getting faster and the process was just becoming a lot smoother. And I mentioned this earlier, but I just want to be really intentional about including all the mistakes in ceramics, because I think that's honestly the thing about ceramics that makes it interesting to me as someone who paints, because painting to me is just so kind of step A to step B. Obviously there can be a lot of different roadblocks. Things can sort of go awry. You can spill things, you can just mess things up, or just things aren't coming along the way you want them to. Ceramics is literally not like that. You can literally do perfect work all the way through, and by the end your piece is completely ruined, and it's not even your fault. And a lot of the times, like, these happy accidents are just so much more common. It was just really hard to get used to at first, but by this point I had really started, sort of knew myself better a little bit as a potter, and I feel like I was really starting to like get the hang of it, and it was really exciting. By this point I also developed like a signature style that I was working with, which was really nice, because I don't know, for me working in sets in ceramics is especially satisfying. Like paintings, I'm much more comfortable just doing like one-off paintings. I don't feel the need to like do a series every time I sit down to make a piece of work, but with pottery I just felt like so much more inspired when pieces would go together. I think that's just the nature of pottery, is that things are sort of designed to fit together in series and pieces, and that's why we had that for our assignment. So here I am just hand building some thorns on this mug that you'll see later, and you can see I'm very concentrated by how furrowed my brow is. And my goal with this was just to try to make like very delicate and realistic sort of glazes and pieces that leaned into my abilities, because I had realized what I was good at and what I was bad at, and this was like the current state of my work. I had fired a few things and I wasn't super happy with a lot of them, but some things did turn out good, and I could hope that I could make bigger and better projects knowing what worked and what didn't now. And that is what the everything looked like by this point, and I changed that purple bowl because I did not like how it came out. But you'll see that later on in the video.
It turned out to be a lot harder than I thought it would, but I eventually, through lots of practice, was able to create some things I'm actually proud of. So I will get into it and show you all of the ceramics and sort of talk about all the struggles I had while I was creating them. But let's start out with the beginning. I'll show you the first thing that I made. So first I have this tiny itty bitty little mug. So for our first assignment we had to make 4 mugs, and this was like the first cup that I threw that was halfway decent, and I added a little handle on it. And then I originally had planned to like make all of my pottery like very illustrative and just lean into the fact that I draw. So at the beginning I like sgraffitoed into it. It's kind of hard to see because it's pretty light, but I just scraped into it a design, and then when I glazed it I sponged it away, and then I glazed the inside purple, although it's hard to see, although I didn't glaze it all the way and it's kind of streaky. So not my favorite thing I've ever made, but it's definitely a start. As you can tell, that this mug is like pretty imperfect, but I was just getting my start, and then I learned how to trim. So this was the first thing that I made. Like I said, kind of too small to be practical, but cute for like a little planter or like an espresso mug is what I said. So after I made that, I wanted to try my hand at just making something just sort of like general and solid. So I threw more mugs, and then I originally painted these ones with designs, and I hated the design so much because I painted it on like a dark green, and then I painted on top of it, and it just did not look how I wanted it to look. So I decided to dip it in black, and then I put a luster on top of it, and you can sort of see it now, like there's like an interesting texture to it, which I don't mind. But, and even in the light, you can see a tiny bit of the luster that it's supposed to have, which is mother of pearl. This thing is supposed to look holographic. That's sort of what I wanted it to look like. Here, let me go grab something with mother of pearl on it. This is like a ceramics I bought from TJ Maxx, but this is sort of the finishing I was looking for, this like rainbowy finish, and it just kind of doesn't really have it. It has it just a tiny bit, but I'm not mad at it. The mug itself is kind of imperfect. Like, it sits like this, like it sits kind of facing upward, but I don't know, I like it. I think it has like a cute charm to it. It's like a smaller cup of coffee, which is probably good for me because I drink way too much coffee. I drink like 2 or 3 cups in the morning, and then I have like 2 or 3 other caffeinated drinks throughout the day because I just love caffeine. But this is like the first thing I made where I was like, yeah, this looks like a mug. Like, this is pretty good. And then I also made this. It was originally a mug, but now it's a planter. And this plant is like actually fucking falling apart. So, oh my god, is it losing more leaves? I tried to replant this plant, and I think I low-key killed it. But don't trust me with your plants. But yeah, same deal here. I just glazed it and put black on it because I painted a design underneath it and I hated it. And then I put on the luster glaze on top of it. And I don't know, I don't mind the texture. I think it's kind of fun looking. So I have those. Oh my god, this plant is literally, I can't believe this. I'm gonna go to Home Depot and look-y get more plants. So after I made those, I wanted to try out like my sculpting chops and like see how realistically I could sculpt stuff. So I started out with my little fish mug, and he's kind of my first tragedy. There's a theme in ceramics, and the theme is heartache and tragedy. And, you know, he's cute. You know, I like him. However, he doesn't have a tail, as you can see. So when I was sculpting him, when I was glazing him, the tail broke off. And I was just like, oh well, I guess I'll just glue it back on later. So I glazed it, took it out of the kiln, and it was so ugly that I wanted to, like, throw it away because I hated it so bad. And everyone's like, no, it's so cute. Please don't throw it away. So I didn't. And I put it in the kiln, and I glazed it, and I put the tail in, can you see it? I put the tail inside the cup just so I didn't lose track of it. And then, I don't know how, but it got fired with the tail inside of it. Can you see that? I can't even tell. You know, I hated the colors. It looks a little bit better after the clear glaze firing, but it's not exactly what I wanted. So he's the first tragedy, but I redeemed myself later. It's okay. And then on to another tragedy. This is probably my favorite thing ever I made, and I broke it, because of course I did. But I wanted to make like an ancient inspired vessel with like antler horns. I'll throw up pictures on the screen of before it got broke, but like, I guess it's okay, because it's supposed to be ancient anyway, so it just broke after, like, being underground for 100 million years or whatever. But I recently got back from my study abroad in Italy. If you're curious about that, I have a ton of videos on that on my channel. But I saw a bunch of pottery from ancient Rome and ancient Greece in that area that I found really beautiful and inspiring. So I wanted to create something sort of similar with, like, that sort of, like, just, like, the general shape, and then this glaze, which is called, it's like Pete's Aged Bronze is the name of the glaze. And it's just this beautiful matte glaze that just does look like an ancient statue. And I just love the way it came out. Like, I think it came out so pretty, and I was obsessed with this glaze, so I wanted to use it more. You'll see that. And I was so happy with this project. And I wanted to make a sister project for that one. And then while I was sculpting it, I broke it and I dropped it on one side. I put a plate in here, so... and while I was sculpting it, I was like, you know what? Half of it is only ruined. I like the other half. So I'm gonna, like, take it and make it look like it's turning into a tree branch. So that's what I did, is I just sculpted this, like, little tree branch coming out of the side of it. And, then I glazed it with this beautiful, like, metallic gray, it's called Tom's Gunmetal glaze. And it's just this, like, gray, metallic, shiny glaze that I loved. And then I blotted a lot of it away. So some parts of it are matte and some parts of it are shiny, and I just love it. I just think it looks so pretty and, like, sort of punk rock and, like, industrial and ancient, which is what I was going for. So after that project, we had to make a sculpture using 4 pieces of thrown pottery. And you had to take these 4 pieces and then combine them in some way and then do some hand building and to make a sculpture. It didn't have to be functional. I made mine functional. After my rainbow trout didn't really come out how I wanted to make like a fuller, bigger version of that. And I had learned my lesson with glazing, so I decided to just glaze it like a natural color. And this is how it came out. I'm really excited. Here is my fish waterfall bowl. And as you can see, she is like kind of this stony gray texture on the outside. And then she's got this like beautiful geode inside. Yeah, I had to move my camera to get better lighting. Let's get some light on this. I'm filming in my bedroom. But I just love how the bottom came out. So when I was glazing it, I didn't want it to be realistically glazed because, and like trying to make it look realistic with the glaze, because I had learned my lesson. Glaze is just way too finicky to like try to aim for like a very specific end result with glaze. And it's much better to just aim for an overall aesthetic. So I decided to dip it in the same green bronze that I put on this one because I loved it. And then it didn't turn out green at all. It turned out like brown and stony. And then I put the luster over top of it just kind of to see what would happen. And now it has like kind of like a shiny pearlescent like covering to it. And to me it looks like it's like carved out of like river stone or like rocks in the bottom of the river. So I'm not mad about it at all. I think it looks so pretty. And I really just wanted to focus on my sculpture chops with this one and get like really fine and detailed, like especially like with the waves and like the fish. So I have a fish here, and then I wanted the fish to look like they were jumping in and out of the piece. So like obviously we have this one here, and then this one here, and then this one who's like jumping into the water. And I have these like little cutouts of the water. So I just wanted to have like a really nice organic shape and this waterfall effect. And how I got the like the pools at the bottom of each of these little bowls here is another girl made like a coral reef type piece, and she put these glass marbles on the bottom before she fired it. And because ceramics fires at a higher temperature than glass does, the glass will like completely melt. And it created this like beautiful geode pattern in the bottom. So I'm super happy with it. I love the glass texture. I'm so happy she let me use some of her marbles. And yeah, this is probably like my best piece from the class. It's kind of hard to see, like, I feel like on camera. Like, I feel like this is one thing that's like easier to just capture in person. But I'm happy with like the glaze accident. Like, I think it came out looking all right. While I was like throwing the 4 bowls that I would use for this, I just created a bunch of extra bowls because I wanted the bowls to fit together and like look like they were all the same shape and like variety and stuff. And while I was doing that, I just threw some extra ones, and I decided to just experiment and play on those. This one, I saw people like throwing on the wheel and then like taking this like really thick slip and then like adding texture on the bowl. And I thought that was really cool, so I wanted to try it out. And then it didn't really, like, I don't know what I did, but, like, the technique just didn't look the same. And I fired it, like, all purple. And there's, like, already some, like, I kept some of this, like, raised texture on the bowl. But it wasn't, like, it didn't look like in a pattern. It just looked kind of random. And I was like, okay. And I scraped, like, a pattern into the glaze to see if it would stay. And it did not. It just sort of melted over. But it, like, left a bit more of this, like, spiky, like glazed edges, which I liked. And then after I fired it in the purple, and I'm like, this is kind of ugly, I don't really like it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna throw a random glaze on top and see if I can save it. So I put on this glaze called Floating Blue, and it's like a brown that like when you concentrate it, it turns blue. And this is how it came out. And like low-key, I love this bowl. It reminds me of a dragon fruit, and I think it looks so fun and pretty. And on the inside, I threw in like a yellow and an orange marble. This one I'm less happy with, but it's like fine. I like painted on it, and then I added the gunmetal on the outside and then like a specialty glaze on the inside. But it kind of just looks like black, and like it looks almost to me like a meteor struck, and like this is what it left behind. So it's like a weird little alien bowl with like different textures and stuff. And it looks kind of like industrial. And like it's got like some matte texture and some shiny texture. So this one's interesting. It's just sort of not my aesthetic, so it's fine though. For our final, we had to create a series of 6 pieces, and I was very much inspired by this one and this one, and I just wanted to continue the series and just sort of make more ancient inspired, Colorado inspired, weird handled and antler style mugs and bowls and cups. So I threw a bunch of different things and then later attached different antler attachments to them. So I'll get into showing you those. I don't really remember which order I made these in, but I did know I made this one later, but I'm just going to show you because it's probably my least favorite. So This one was a lot prettier when it had like an outside handle too. And then I don't know if you can see, but there's like these two bumps like right there where a handle used to be. And it used to connect to this handle. And then this handle broke off after I fired it. But that's okay. This one's like one of the uglier bowls, so I'm fine with it. And then I glazed it with that blue glaze. And then of course it like didn't turn blue at all. It's like all brown. But this one was just inspired by like elk and antlers and stuff. Okay, we have another tragedy. This was probably my favorite piece before I destroyed it. It was originally supposed to be a vase, but I low-key can't throw anything bigger than this. So it just ended up being like a mug. And by this point, I was like well aware of the fact that like I just am not a person who can throw these like beautiful IKEA like smooth bowls. Like all of my things I throw kind of turn out like wonky in one way or another. And instead of like trying to like force myself to be like a ceramicist that I'm not, I realized that I can just use these imperfections to like my advantage in my aesthetic. So I just went for like natural forms and these like really beautiful, like I love this glaze, these like really beautiful imperfect looking glazes that kind of highlight the texture rather than hide it. So through this, like I said, this used to be like had these like long beautiful curving antler horns, and then I was smoothing down the bottom, and as I was smoothing it, I was holding it, and then it got loose and I dropped it and it went flying, and it broke off all of the little antler attachments, but thankfully like the handle's intact and it's still like really solid. And the way that it broke off, it does at least look like a tree with like a bunch of knots or stumps or like branches cut off. So it's just a tree mug. It's a bit more boring than I originally wanted it to look, but what can you do? That's just how it is with ceramics. I wanted to make another tree style mug, and I knew I wanted to have one specifically with like a little gap in the hole. Like I wanted to have this like really beautiful, delicate look to it. And I'm really happy with how this one came out. It's just a little pot with a little tree stump attachment. And the reason I like this one so much is I feel like on the underside, it looks a lot like a tree stump with like these rings. And I think the glaze came out really pretty. I used that same like blue glaze, but it did not come out blue at all. But I did throw a marble in the bottom, and the marble is like so pretty. It's like this blue, and then the blue like concentrates at the bottom. And to me, it looks like a tree stump that's like after the rain. And there's like a bunch of bubbles in it, and I love the bubbles. I think they're pretty. And like the glaze is super imperfect. It like really highlights the texture of the ceramic. And I don't know, I really like that. I think that the texture just helps emphasize it and makes it so much more naturey and like tree-like. So I think it turned out really nice. I really like this one. It's so cute, it's so little. I think I'm gonna put candles in these. Since my other pieces weren't fragile, I wanted to make something even more fragile. So I made this little like thorn mug with like this little thorny handle attachment here. And it's a little hard to see, but these are all like ceramic thorns, and I was like inspired by like weeds and various plants and stuff. And then I used that same sort of glaze as for like the antler mug that broke, and it just really highlights all of these like beautiful imperfections of the piece, and I'm happy with this one. It reminds me a lot of like an autumn leaf, like especially like this front. Like I love the way that the glaze is like so weird and imperfect, and it has this like rough grainy texture, but I kind of like it. Like I said, it just feels very rugged and very outdoors and very much like I snatched it up from nature. So I'm happy with her. Another one here is I just threw this little pot, and I liked like how impractical it was. Like it's got a very tiny opening, but I just like the shape of it. And I decided to experiment where I went outside and I grabbed some leaves and I wrapped them around and I pressed it into the clay. After firing it, all of the leaves disintegrate, and then I glazed it again in this glaze, this green. I thought this would turn out green, but it turned out like really weird and like patchy. But the texture, like it highlights the texture in some interesting ways. Like I feel like you can really see the like the leaves and the indentations a lot better with this glaze. So I'm not mad about it. I think it came out kind of cute. And then I used that same glaze on this bowl, which actually ended up being probably my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things from this series. It's just a little bowl, and I just love this like handle. I think it's so pretty and elegant. And then again, same glaze, same exact glaze. I don't know why this turned out so weird. The glaze was just crazy that day, but it's like, it looks so much to me like a cowhide. So I have like longhorns that live in my backyard, and I was like inspired by my backyard a huge amount when I was working on this body of work, because I live like behind open space with like a bunch of weeds, and it's like a field, very Colorado, and like I said, we have longhorns. Super Colorado, super Western, so I'm really happy with it. This thing went across the room and they're like busted like half of the lid. Like this, or the rim, like this part was fine, and then this part and this part of the rim were just completely busted. So I'm like, instead of throwing it away, I'm like, let's see if I can make something out of it. And this is, again, is probably my favorite thing I made from this class. And I just like put these like beautiful like Tim Burton style like swirlies on it, and I have it like going in and out of the handle, and I just love this like face here of this pot, like with this one big swirl and all the other swirls coming up. And I dipped it in that like that gunmetal like metallic black glaze that I really like. So I'm really happy with this one. I think it's so pretty and spooky and Halloweenish. It's got a little swirl on the bottom. So I'm really happy with her. She's not food safe, so she'll have to house like a plant or a candle or something. So happy with that. After I was all done with those, I had more time to make whatever I wanted, and tragedy kept striking me. So I made this beautiful fish plate, and I loved him. He looked so freaking cute, and I glazed it with like the green glaze that I keep mentioning how much I love, but it keeps coming out screwed up. So I knew for sure that I was applying it too thin. That's why it came out so weird. So I put it on thicker here, and he like totally looked like you dug him out of the bottom of the ocean. Like he was so cute. And I took some pictures of him, and then like 3 seconds after I took those pictures, I freaking dropped and shattered him. So rest in peace. And then while I was making that, I made a little ceramic fish charm that you can like put on a necklace or something. I don't know if I'll like repaint him with like acrylic, or if I'll just like kind of leave him. I don't know what to do with him because I don't really wear brown, so I can't really wear it. Departed from the Colorado theme, and I made more like ocean themed pipes, and then they came out really, really cute. Like I love this one. This one's like inspired by like seashells, and it's like green with like a tint of like a few red swirls. And I made this one with the same glaze, and they're just super cute. And this one's like, these ones are like brown, but with a little bit of blue. But unfortunately, glaze got in the holes of a lot of them. So like a lot of them have carbs that don't work. And then this one just straight up does not work. My favorite one. So I'm learning a lot in ceramics, and mainly what I'm learning is that I hate ceramics. And then my favorite thing that I made was this set of bowls and a cup. I made these 2 bowls that were kind of like the same size and weight and shape, and they just felt like a set. So I knew I wanted to do a set with those. And then I had an extra cup that I just didn't do anything with that sort of had like the same like rounded look to it. So I'm like, I will make a set. And I knew from the beginning I wanted to make some sort of set with like the white and the blue, because I just think it's so pretty, and I love that like classic kind of China look. And I threw these bowls, and they're like these nice hefty bowls, and then they didn't have any imperfections. And like this was towards the end where I kind of knew what I was doing when I was throwing. I was able to throw something bigger, and I was just like, okay, cool. These can be like my painted things that I make, because these are actually pretty. So what I did is I glazed them with white first, and then I painted underglaze right on top of that white glaze. And then I just painted the outside and fired it again. And I think it came out so pretty. When I was like designing it, I wanted to make my own like sort of like girly, but like Western and like a tiny bit edgy. Like I really like the like contrast of like all these swirly pretty patterns with like this spiky viney like thorns. And then on this one I added like chains and like little stars. I don't know, I just really liked that little touch of edginess where it's like this. I want it to look like it was made today. Like a lot of my pottery is ancient inspired, but I want it to definitely look like it's very decidedly made today. And like I said, I'm really proud of this little set, and they're all completely food safe. Like I have a little bit of coffee in the bottom of this one. The white glaze is super thin. Like as you can see, there's like a kind of this like texture. That's not from the glaze, that's like the clay underneath. The white glaze I used to glaze it is very like see-through, and it's like a bit rough feeling, but honestly I kind of like it. It just feels very earthy, and like I don't know, I think these bowls are like really hefty and like thick and heavy, but I kind of like this like weight they have to them. They feel like very like certain of themselves, and like they're here. So I'm a fan of it. And like this is a bit thinner, so which is it should be, because it's not a bowl. And I'm just super happy with the designs. I'm so happy they didn't run. I mean, the glaze is like a tiny bit inconsistent, but like I said, I don't really mind it. Like it's handmade, it's gonna look inconsistent. Like this is my first time doing ceramics. It's going to be like not perfect. And I don't know, the imperfections sort of make it to me. Like this is like extra cool because it it is so handmade to me, versus like something like that's like regular china is just so like porcelain, it's mass produced. And like, you know, these are the Sarah versions, you know, they're not gonna be perfect. They're gonna have some spikes, they're gonna have some chains, they're gonna have some thorns, but they're gonna be so pretty in the end, and they're gonna have their own charms to them. Anyway, that is all the ceramics that I made during my ceramics course. I hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know if you've ever tried ceramics, or if you have any ideas for me to pursue it in future. I'm really sad that I probably won't have access to a ceramics studio for a long time, but this has like really inspired me to get into sculpting, so I really want to like do some sculpting projects later in the future, probably with like Sculpey clay, because that's just easiest for me to do. And you can like build like potted plants with those, like you can make pots for plants, so I'll probably end up just making those, because I don't know, whenever I like build something like physically, I have this urge to make it functional in some manner, because I'm like, why would I build an object just to like make an object that has no purpose? Like I can do that for a painting. So whenever I feel like I sculpt something physical, it has to be like, it has to like look like it has function, or like actually has function. So I'll probably make like potted plants, or like maybe like, I don't know, maybe I will make some little trinkets. I want to make like more rainbow fish, rainbow trout stuff, because I've had just too much tragedy with my rainbow trout stuff. Thankfully, I did redeem myself with this thing, but I just want to like make some more and like try it and like really make out like the most of the medium with like ceramic versus like Sculpey clay. So it'll be fun to like, with Sculpey clay you can like paint on top of it with like acrylic, and like it won't like actually look like garbage. Like when you fire it, it will, because you don't fire it, it just cures or it dries with acrylic. So with that, at least I can like sort of have more control over like the final look of like the paint. So that can open myself up for different opportunities for different finishes and effects with the acrylic paint. That's the best thing about being an artist, honestly, is just to have bragging rights whenever someone compliments your stuff, being like, I love your earrings. Thank you, I made them. I love your bowl. Thank you, I made it. Like that's sort of the goal, is for bragging rights. So now I have bragging rights in the ceramics realm, and I made some pottery that doesn't suck. So like I said, I'm happy with all those things I made. Like and subscribe if you found this video interesting. Write stuff to me in the comments below. I love reading the comments, and I will respond to you. Let me know if you ever tried ceramics. What did you make? Did you have any tragedies strike you like I have? Have you suffered? Let me know. Okay.